Close game late against the Kings. The Panthers prevail as the Panthers were one with the Force, and the Force was with them.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Thursday, January 30th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X and Blue Sky at Monoman12. Follow the show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers and on Blue Sky at LA Panthers. You can follow the show anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, make sure to press that like button here. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And you could do that all on Game Time. And the Florida Panthers coming off a 3-0 shutout win against the Los Angeles Kings. Just like last week against the Kings in LA, the Panthers went into the third period with a 1-0 lead, but this time the Panthers prevail, not giving up a single goal for them and getting a 3-0 shutout win and one of the better performances for the Florida Panthers this season, a complete game. The Kings brought back Drew Doughty to the lineup, and there wasn't as much of a jump as we thought there was going to be for the Kings. They scratched Brandt Clark, who was leading the Kings decor in points this season. But the way the Kings play, they are more of a defensive-oriented type of team. So that there goes questions on what's going to happen with him, as he's still a very young prospect, right-handed shot. But the Panthers getting up early in the game, just less than 5 minutes into the game. The second line for the Panthers was just outstanding with how they were able to easily get through the neutral zone with speed. Mackie Samoskevich at times playing on his offside, but also how he was able to feed his line mates into the blue paint, and the Panthers getting to the net front, overwhelming Darcy Kemper on the night for them. And then getting to that 1-0 lead where the Kings were coming in transition. They turned the puck over at their blue line, which great job by Uvis Balinskis to create that turnover for them, get the puck deep, get a change. The Panthers get in on the forecheck as the LA Kings were trying to clear. The Panthers kept it in, got to the net front, and then a beautiful spinorama pass from Matthew Tkachuk to Sam Bennett, and now that's 3 goals in the last 5 games for Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett has probably heard some of the noise that we've been talking about here on the show about possibilities of what the Panthers could do in their lineup. But again, that combination of Mackie Samoskevich, Matthew Tkachuk, and Sam Bennett, so that has worked out so well for the Panthers. And hey, it feels like for the Panthers it's creating more of a balanced attack for them. And then Sam Bennett as well, drawing a penalty shortly after the goal, after once again getting in speed and then cutting in where the gaps for the LA Kings was just not up to par for them. And then going back to Mackie, with 14 minutes left in the second period, there was still a whole bunch of hockey left in this game, tying his career high in shots on goal in a game where previously he did it against the Seattle Kraken, and then doing so in this game with a whole bunch of time left. And then after the second period, once again, Panthers were up 1-0. They doubled the amount of slot shots of the Kings. The Corsi 4 was in their favor. The shots on goal were in favor. Odd man rushes weren't a thing, so the Panthers were tight, not turning the puck over. If you're an LA Kings fan, this must have been a very uninspiring performance if you're watching this from a LA Kings perspective for them. And this game for LA, we maybe started to see a little bit of containment for the Panthers, because Panthers had 20 shots on goal through the first period. It's like, okay, it looks like that they were gonna blow them out of the building, but the both teams stayed penalty free in the second period, and the Panthers didn't capitalize after that. But the Panthers still being in control going into the third and with a lead. This is the Panthers formula when it comes to how they play. is getting leads into the final 20 minutes, the conversation around the locker room, whatever that may be for them, on just still keeping tight for them and still keeping to their identity. And we've seen that the Panthers have done that so many times throughout the last week. We spoke about the lack of penalties for the Panthers. The LA Kings shot themselves in the foot quite a few times where they were on the power play. Then it was a minute and one of 4-on-4 carrying over to the second period, even though the Panthers didn't score on it. And then the Panthers on the power play where they gave the Panthers a 5-on-3, where they ended up scoring on that. And then the Panthers in the third period, over 5 minutes of time, where after Bobrovsky probably made his best save of the night on Mikey Anderson on two opportunities out in front, the Panthers don't give up a shot on goal for a good stretch. And the shot blocking in the first period for the Panthers at 5-on-5, 13 shot attempts and 10 of them ended up on goal for the Panthers here in the first period. So the fact that they were getting to the net front and then also using their once they were going east-west for them, when they entered into the offensive zone, there was open shots into the blue paint, and also creating those rebound opportunities for them. Paul Maurice spoke about how the shot blocking was the best, that their best performances via shot blocking was some of the best on Wednesday night for them. And usually whenever a team is leading by a wide margin in shot blocks, it's mostly because the opposition is pinned in their own end. That wasn't the case in this one, as the LA Kings only had 10 on the night. So this was if you're Jim Hiller of the Kings, you got to be quite upset about it too for them. And again, the top line for the Panthers matching up against Kopitar and getting that last change for them, it allowed the Bennett line to do their thing and match up better against the other guys on the LA Kings. For them, Mackie Samoskevich after the second period spoke about how they got their legs going, no excuses. They're not on the second end of a back-to-back, so they are. This is a team that's fresh. This is a strange part of the schedule where back-to-back, two days off. You have the game tonight and then last night, and then these 2 days off for them. So an opportunity for the Panthers to truly be fresh coming down this stretch right before the Four Nations break. And the one and dones for the LA Kings and the containment that the Panthers had into the neutral zone, the Panthers were able to get quick outs and their changes there. And like I said, the Panthers converting on that 5-on-3, 5 seconds into it, where they only had 9 seconds of it, gave themselves more of that power play time for them, and we're giving them that opportunity to control the play. Which Aleksander Barkov, welcome to 2025, his first goal of 2025, first goal in 13 games for them. The last one was on December 30th against the New York Rangers, and also a great setup by getting Ekblad to the net front and then creating confusion, and then Barkov hitting the net. The physicality for the Panthers and Kings was there, where Tkachuk went after got in Drew Doughty's grill after the Panthers scored on the empty net by Matthew Tkachuk after he got a hit on Aleksander Barkov. We've seen that there's still bad blood between Matthew Tkachuk and Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty and Matthew Tkachuk don't like each other, kind of like how Dark Helmet and Yogurt don't like each other in Spaceballs. So that's I guess that's the best comparison if I want to put like a little Star Wars reference there. I also forgot to mention Dmitry Kulikov getting a secondary assist on his 1,000th game and getting honored for him as well. So big congratulations to him, and just it felt like it was meant to be on a night like this for Cooley, as he went through so much in between leaving Florida and then coming back and then ultimately winning a Stanley Cup. And then the Panthers 6-on-5 defensively, not allowing the pucks down low, keeping them to the point. Sergei Bobrovsky was able to see through screens for him. It wasn't an overwhelming performance from Sergei Bobrovsky in a shutout effort, but still he made the timely saves when he needed to there. So also just gotta love the Panthers and just their trajectory of goals against, which we'll discuss more in the second segment here. But we're going to actually continue on there, where we're going to discuss our 3 stars of the game and the moment where we thought the game was won. We're going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching for thousands of tickets. I recently used Game Time Picks to find tickets for an upcoming NHL game. Browsing through the deals was simple, and I found great values for all kinds of seats around the venue. The super deals was especially impressive, offering the best value for the event. The app features like seat views before you buy and all-in pricing with no surprise fees at checkout. It made the experience smooth and reliable. Plus, the on-time ticket delivery and the lowest price guarantee gave me so much peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Segment number 2 here on this Thursday, January 30th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Thursday, coming off the Panthers' 3-0 win over the Los Angeles Kings on Wednesday night. And 3 stars of the game for the Panthers. I'm gonna go with an honorable mention first because there's so many to choose from for them. Sam Bennett, 8 shots on goal for the Panthers, and also, although the Panthers benefited from getting a 5-on-3 where Evan Rodriguez was driving to the near side corner, I thought Sam Bennett actually did get away with possibly clipping Quentin Byfield in the neutral zone for them, and Trevor Moore going after him and then not being happy shortly after Sam Bennett rang a shot off the crossbar for them, but Sam Bennett also being a force once again, and also still knowing that his contract is up, knowing that the rumors have possibly been there for him on what his future could possibly be. He's been showing up well as of late and has definitely broken out of his slump for him. So Sam Bennett is my 3rd star. Honorable mention for the Panthers here, Mackie Samoskevich, like I mentioned. His career high in shots on goal were 6 for tonight. Got it before the 14 minutes left in the second period, and just was such a force with his speed and just finding his teammates down low for him. Mackie Samoskevich unfortunately didn't get a register a shot the rest of the way, but still, that line overall set the tone for the Panthers. Number 2 star, the guy who got the shutout, Sergei Bobrovsky, 30 saves on the night. First shutout against the Kings in his career. The Panthers' first shutout against them since 1997 when John Van Beesbroek did it. And I'm gonna discuss the goals against for the Panthers as of late, because it has been outstanding. So their last 6 games, including last night, I'm going backwards here: 0, 4, 2, 2, 2, 0. Yeah, it's been an up and down month for the Panthers, but the identity that they're playing to, and the record might not always show it, but this is proof in the pudding how the identity and the structure for the Panthers is still quite there. And that 4th goal, that the number 4 that I just listed, the last goal was an empty net against Vegas just recently. So the Panthers, for the most part, 3 goals or less in their games recently for them. So they are playing to their style there. Number 1 star of the game, Matthew Tkachuk, the 3 points. We spoke about the spinorama that led to the goal for Sam Bennett. He got that shot off the end boards that resulted in Aleksander Barkov knocking it into the open net, which we'll get to in a little bit in this segment, and then that empty net goal to cap it all off, uh, and then with the fans clapping when Sergei Bobrovsky was named first star as voted by the media present in the game. These are my personal stars. If for this one, and then the Tkachuk face on the U.S. flag, the pink flag there, for that fan right behind them. So also just Matthew Tkachuk once again just upsetting the opposition. There was a battle out in front with Joel Edmondson. He pushed Edmondson into Darcy Kemper in the net and knocked it off, and then upsetting them. Upsetting the opposition like he usually does. Rat-like behavior that we like that benefits the Panthers, creating open ice and getting that 4-on-4 for them. So Matthew Tkachuk, 3 points on the night for him, gets the first star of the game. I do want to discuss the second line. 2 goals, 2 assists, 16 shots on goal, 10 hits. The Panthers brought the physicality. The hits differential, just looking that up real quick, 23-18. So Panthers were separating the puck often whenever they were getting their puck battles, and then creating those allowing them to get out, and breakouts were as clean as they can be on the night for them. Also, a little bit of a mention to Paul Maurice. We mentioned 1,900 games coached for them. Less than 3 full seasons left for Paul Maurice to pass Scotty Bowman. So that would be the 27-28 season around there for him. So still bits a way to go for him, but the fact that he started so young for him at 28 years old, it really gives an opportunity to ultimately be the leader in most games coached in NHL history for him. And he's with the Florida Panthers here with us, and we get to watch him night in and night out, and also the quotes, the admirable quotes for him that we get to see and get a good laugh at for them. The moment where we knew the game was won, the goal on the 5-on-3, 5 seconds into it, which is huge for the Panthers there to once again remain on the power play, and off a face-off win, getting to the net front, and then overwhelming the Kings there. And then Barkov not only knocking it in to the open net, but the celly for him, or lack thereof for him, just standing there casually saying, "Oh yeah, I got a goal. Yeah, that's and he doesn't, even though we might point it out more than him, and this might not even be something that goes through his mind. We spoke about multiple droughts over the last few weeks of guys not getting in on the scoring, and we've seen those get broken in the last few weeks, which start, and the analytics charts for the Panthers say that they're in good shape based on expected goals and everything for them. So it's just a matter of the season playing out and law of averages getting there for the Panthers, and that's certainly the case for them lately. And we are starting to see the tide turn a little bit, even though it might not always result in wins for them. So Aleksander Barkov, that power play goal on the 5-on-3, that is my moment where I thought the game was won for the Panthers here. And now, and also their first regulation win against the LA Kings in a while. The last 8 times they only had 1 win against the Kings, and that was last year, where they had the overtime winner from Sam Reinhart right at the buzzer. One of the games that they had against the Kings, if you remember, that was in the 21-22 season, where half the team was out due to COVID, and the AHL squad had to play for the Panthers, and it was just a night where you could write scheduled loss for the Panthers there at home. There, I believe it was December of 2021. I don't remember the exact date, but that was not a fun game to cover there at the time. But first regulation win. It's been a while for them. But we're going to transition over to segment number 3, where we have a little bit of breaking news as we are recording this edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. The captains for all the nations have been announced for the NHL. We are going to discuss the announcement of the captain, and is there a specific Florida Panther that has been named captain for their respective national team? We're going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Third and final segment here on this Thursday, January 30th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Thursday. So the announcements are going hour by hour for each of the respective teams for the four nations. So today, Finland was 9 a.m. as we are recording this at 10:09. Right now, it's 10:09 a.m. on a Thursday. So Finland announced theirs at 9 a.m. Sweden just announced theirs at 10 a.m. Today, USA's captain will be announced at 1 p.m. and then Canada's will be announced at 2 p.m. So Finland's has already been announced, and we heard it right before the recording here. So this was something that I couldn't avoid talking about until tomorrow. I knew the announcement was coming today, but I didn't know the times until right before recording. So Aleksander Barkov, something that we've been discussing, and Patrick Laine of the Montreal Canadiens went on Spitting Chicklets the other day and spoke about Aleksander Barkov being the face of Finnish hockey, and there's no one who is more of an example for the Finnish players around him who is more deserving of the captaincy. And he spoke about it last week, and now the announcement is officially official. Aleksander Barkov will be the captain of the Finnish national team for four nations. And the assistant captains for them are Sebastian Aho, Mikael Granlund of the San Jose Sharks, and Mikko Rantanen, newly acquired Carolina Hurricane there. Also, Sweden's captains have been named. Victor Hedman is the captain for the Swedish national team. The alternate captains are Matthias Ekholm, Erik Karlsson, and William Nylander. So those are to no surprise for those respective teams, and them getting these announcements early for the hockey fans overseas, where I believe they're 5-6 hours ahead of us. I believe they're getting theirs they're getting the announcement, so they'll know in the middle of they found out in the middle of the day, just like the announcement of the actual teams. We still don't know USA and Canada's captains, but I assume it's going to be either Quinn Hughes or Austin Matthews for USA, and then I know Connor McDavid is the best player in the world for Team Canada, but I just think when you think of resume and you think of Sidney Crosby and what he's done in not only Olympics but the other World Cup of hockey that happened back in 2016, I think for legacy purposes you have to put Sidney Crosby there as the captain for Team Canada for the four nations. So big congratulations to Aleksander Barkov for them, the first captain born in Finland that got to raise the Stanley Cup, and quite an honor for him, I'm sure. Getting that, being named that, and then you think of what's gonna come over the next few weeks, especially the Saturday. Cancel all your plans on Saturday, February 15th, where Finland and Sweden will take on each other in the afternoon, and then at night it'll be USA and Canada on hockey night in Canada. So that is going to be just so much fun for hockey fans overall. As there's not as much hype right now around the tournament because there's still so many teams in the playoff race for them, and they're still trying to still finish strong right before the break. But we'll see that up of intensity and passion right when we see this. I know we talk about the money grab that is for the NHL, but when you see those colors and you see the country on the other side, that's when you're really gonna see that players will care about this. Even Seth Jarvis spoke about, I'll play D if I need to for Team Canada for them. Speaking of Team Canada, Alex Pietrangelo of the Vegas Golden Knights. We didn't mention this on our post game show, but he took himself out of the team for Canada for the four nations for them. He said he's dealing with a little bit of an ailment, so that week and a half is going to be good for him in order to get ready for the stretch run of the playoff grind coming up for them. And also, the NHL also said that they are not going to be punishing players for skipping out on the Four Nations. Difference between All-Star and Four Nations is you're asking 2 days out of your players versus a whole week and a half for them. So it's understandable why the NHL is not going into the route of suspending players if they choose to bow out. And also, this is less players are less likely to do it when they hear the words best on best for them, and an opportunity that we haven't seen in the NHL since 2016 of best on best hockey for them. Also, speaking of Canada defensemen, there's also a chance that former Panther Mackenzie Weegar will get his chance to play for Team Canada. Played in World Championships just recently for them, and there's an opportunity for him to get in on the team. Pietrangelo is a very great two-way defenseman. There have been talks about Evan Bouchard, but he's more of that offensive defenseman. Weegar has developed more into that offensive defenseman for him, but when you think about how much speed that the defense will need to play against for Team Canada, I think Mackenzie Weegar is an outstanding choice for the Team Canada if they choose to go that route for them. So we're hoping, at least I am, at least, that we get to see Mackenzie Weegar as the replacement for Alex Pietrangelo. And players discussed this was spoken about on the sheet with Jeff Merrick, that players have already discussed about their vacations, but when it comes to an international tournament, they're more than happy to cancel some of their vacations in order to play in a tournament like this. Big difference between that and All-Star, which is, you can understand why the NHL went in this direction for the Four Nations face-off for them. So just it's only a few weeks away. So the Panthers only have 5 games in a week in a week and a half stretch right before the Four Nations break, which we are going to see a whole bunch of Florida Panthers action that then and during that tournament. So there won't be anything shortage of topics for them. So just once again, going back to Aleksander Barkov and the announcement of him being named the captain for the Finnish national team, just it's as Panther fans, watching this guy every single day and just the leadership that he brings on the ice for the Cats, don't take this for granted of what Aleksander Barkov brings night in and night out. As it might not be the most colorful of personalities there, but it's what you want, because there isn't noise around the Panthers. There's no drama. There's nothing of that. As far as talking about things around the rumor mill for the entirety of the NHL, it also personally challenges me for creating content and all that other jazz, but that's besides the point. But Aleksander Barkov and just business, that's what you want. And that really helps when it comes to just locker room culture, and just guys who want to come in and say, I want to play with that guy. And we didn't even speak about the Selke trophies for Barkov, and just padding that resume. And we spoke about it once he passed Olli Jokinen, how next year he's going to pass Saku Koivu, and he's going to at least finish 3rd all time in points for a Finnish-born player. So we got it good here in South Florida with Dale Talon drafting Aleksander Barkov 2nd overall back in 2013. So it's been quite an honor watching this guy, and he's only going to continue that. And the fact that he's still in his prime and under contract for multiple years still, until 2030, him being the face and then having him here is just a joy. That's the best word, joy, for him. But that's going to be a wrap for today's edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. On tomorrow's edition of the show, we are going to discuss more about the NHL not involving the IIHF for future international tournaments. And we are also going to preview the weekend for the Panthers as they will continue the homestand on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to discuss that more tomorrow with Nick Fairbanks on an edition of Fairbanks Friday. So see you guys then. In the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.